So, today we're going to do a very unique video topic. Today we're going to talk about what if Rohan and Okuyasu were the main antagonists of Diamond is Unbreakable. So in this timeline, Kira will not be the main threat, and instead it's revealed to be Okuyasu and Rohan. Now as for why these two, I'll explain later, but it's a very odd concept, I know, but I think it's a very unique one at the same time, and could actually work. So I'll explore what I think would happen. But first, thanks for Lost for suggesting this idea. Well, not this idea, but the kind of idea, like the topic I based it off of. Their original request was what if Okuyasu was smart, but if I'm being honest, nothing would really change except the fights would probably be easier. Plus, I feel like if Okuyasu was smart, it'd probably be another Dio situation where he's just too cocky and probably loses his fights. But they thought of an idea where Okuyasu becomes evil, but honestly, I don't see Okuyasu as the main antagonist type deal, and I thought making Rohan the main antagonist, like if he wrote Okuyasu to be smart, and instead write Rohan as this kind of evil threat. I kind of used his idea, but I kind of twisted it around. So I don't know if I'm going to entertain you, Lost, but I really hope I do. I really hope you do enjoy it if you're still watching my channel, by the way. And I don't know if you'll take it as a good idea. It's very odd to say the least, but I think it's going to be interesting, and I really hope that the suggestion I made for you does not really become a waste. So let's get down to the actual topic. So we should talk about first how Rohan becomes the main antagonist of 4. Same with Okuyasu. So the original antagonist is Kira, so how do you go after that? Well, you could end it the same way, but I feel like that would kind of feel stupid, so instead let's kind of end DIU, well, not in DIU, but in Kira's run in DIU a lot quicker. So, one of his first fights he does die. Either he dies to Shingeki, or he dies to Jotaro and Koichi. Shingeki probably doesn't really play that much of a part after that point. Like, after the death of Shingeki, you don't really see much change, because you don't. And plus, you still kind of, I do think Koichi needed that kind of growth, so I guess Kira still kills Shingeki, but Jotaro ends up killing him in this timeline, or instead, maybe Josuke and Okuyasu prevent Kira from escaping and he just goes to jail, or they gang up and kill him. I don't know. Kira's done. The point is that Kira is out of the story. Whether he's dead or whether he went to jail, it doesn't matter. And not only that, but they find out that Kira did not kill Remy. So in other words, while it was noble they took out a serial killer, it was completely meaningless because they got the wrong guy. As for other changes to DIU in this timeline, well, you need to find a way for Rohan to be the main villain, so instead I would have him kill Remy, but have it happen years later. Now I think Rohan would need to be a little bit older, and instead something about Rohan would need to change. Since he's a mangaka artist, I think you could, and since he's been known for doing very crazy stuff for his research, maybe Rohan kills as an art. Like, uh, I'll explain. I don't know if this has ever been seen in media, but Rohan is basically a crazy serial killer who's basically killing because it works for his entertainment. That's probably how I would do it. In like some kind of screwed up way, he thinks killing someone will help him like reach his inner manga cuz he thinks it would work like that. He's that screwed up mentally. So at that point, Rohan basically he's just that screwed up and he basically believes that he's killing people because he would make great storytelling. And at that point, I feel like they would just hunt down for random serial killers that do have stands, like your typical Angelos. They could even go after Akira as well, and maybe interrogate Akira for it. They could also interrogate Okuyasu in case Keisho ever recognized Remy and killed her. And at that point, they would realize that none of those people have really an involvement in the death of Remy. So, and they basically just kill or defeat other serial killer stand users. So the next real change is Rohan's big reveal, and as for how I would do it, I think a teammate's gotta die for it. As for who, I'd probably pick Joseph. Now, as for why, for starters, you could get a very emotional death out of Joseph, because he's a fan favorite, everyone loves Joseph, and legitimately having Joseph die would make Rohan come off as a big threat immediately. And I know the joke of, oh, Joseph never dies. I mean, I get that, and I don't really think you need to do that. But I think for storytelling wise, we'll just kill Joseph off here. He dies, revealing that Rohan killed Remy, and Okuyasu, Josuke, Koichi, and Okuyasu hunt down. Oh, crap, I said. Oh, crap, I botched. I realized I botched, so I just gotta pick myself up. Jotaro, Josuke, Koichi, and Okuyasu hunt down Rohan and find out that he was killing Remy the whole time. Rohan basically angry that they found out. By the way, Remy doesn't know Rohan killed him, so it's kind of like she never knew who it was, but she knows that the person who killed her snuck her from behind and done it. Rohan basically instead goes as fast as he can, uses Heaven's Door on Okuyasu, and basically turns Okuyasu to his side. And before you say Rohan's not fast enough to do that, remember Rohan was able to complete his manga deadline while Made in Heaven was accelerating time, so at that rate, Rohan is basically going to win. Because he's basically fast enough to get to Okuyasu and basically take him. So Rohan wins that encounter. Josuke, Koichi, and Jotaro try their attacks. Like, Jotaro tries to time stop, but Rohan's just too fast and gets out of the way in time. Or Koichi tries to go for the 3 freeze, but Rohan's not within his range. He's not within Josuke's range or Jotaro's range. So he's basically able to get out of there with Okuyasu. And basically at that point, Rohan can probably use Kosaku and Aya stuff. And Rohan can just take Kosaku's identity instead, or maybe Rohan just kills Kosaku and basically steals away in the house of Hayato and Shinobu. Or maybe he can take the identity, but just to pretend that he is Rohan Kashibe. Like, he pretends he's Kosaku, but he's still publishing as Rohan. He's trying not to kill Shinobu and Hayato as well at the same time, and I think the whole thing could instead be about Rohan wanting to kill the Kawajiri family because killing a family would be great manga material to this psychopath. And Okuyasu is just hiding in the attic, and basically they meet Stray Cat and then take him as a hostage. By the way, Rohan would write in Okuyasu that he's smart, that he's loyal, he'll never betray him, and they're basically just this evil duo. So at that point, they're basically just a powerhouse-like duo where no one can beat them. They also take Stray Cat as a defense option. Rohan holds on to Stray Cat, but if someone were to take Stray Cat from Rohan, Okuyasu can just use the hand and then bring him back over to them, so Stray Cat is basically unmovable at that point, and is basically stuck to Rohan and Okuyasu. Now, at that point, I do think you would have to get to that point where Rohan needs to be pierced by the arrow to awaken a time ability. As for his time ability, I think when it comes to Heaven's Door, and you have to give it some type of ability that has to do with time, I think time rewinding, but hard for Heaven's Door to do something with time. I don't know, it's hard to do a Heaven's Door time manipulating ability. If you gave him an ability to manipulate time, at that point he would just be very busted, and it's hard to say how the fight would go. I think Rohan would be trapped in a corner and stabbed by the arrow, like Okuyasu's trying to calm him down. Rohan gets stabbed by Heaven's Door, he awakens his own version to bite the dust that resolves around Heaven's Door. Maybe he has some kind of cool, I don't know how to explain it, maybe reality bending? That's like a cool way to look at it. Would he kill any of the characters? Depends on who's there. I doubt he's gonna be able to kill Josuke because plot armor. Jotaro's probably got plot armor, but there is a chance he could die. Koichi's got plot armor, but I think there's a good chance he dies too. But he has a better chance of dying than Jotaro or Josuke would. Maybe some of the other weaker characters, like maybe Yuya or Mikitaka, join this time around, or maybe Yukiko. You could have someone die in the final fight this time to make Rohan more hated. And as for the final part of the fight, I think when it comes down to Josuke versus Okuyasu and Rohan, I think the entire fight is Josuke just tanking Okuyasu's hits and trying to save him, trying to wake up his friend. And Heaven's Door's brainwashing ability is just too unbeatable. And maybe because you want to make it, maybe because it's slice of life and it's happy-go-lucky stuff, Okuyasu goes back to the light side at the right moment. Rohan's left at shock and basically tries to use Stray Cat as defense, but Okuyasu swipes Stray Cat away. Jotaro and Koichi catch Rohan, and Part 4 ends like it does in canon, but the only change is that Kira dies earlier and Rohan's the one who gets killed in his place and gets crushed by the ambulance. Or, if we're being realistic, Rohan has some kind of cool time manipulating, time warping type ability. Like, he can kind of manipulate the world itself or something. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Maybe it's like, maybe some kind of ability that resolves around, like, maybe time leaping, like how Tokyo Revengers does it. Like, Rohan has to find a host to time leap back into the past or something, or I don't know how a time manipulating ability of Revendor would work, so you could speculate how that works, but I think it would need to be something that's not permanent. But most of the fight would be around solving around Okuyasu versus Josuke. So Josuke would try to be saving Okuyasu the whole time, and it would just lead to Hayato and Josuke versus Rohan and Okuyasu. And at the end, Josuke does save Okuyasu, and then Rohan could just be defeated like how Kira was. And that's probably it. Is there anything else I could do? Not really, but like, that's my take on the idea. I know it's not the idea that was suggested, but a What If Okuyasu is Smart video has technically already been done, and if I were to do my own version, it would just be, well, if Okuyasu was smart, the part would either be easier or it would probably just go the same, because Okuyasu, instead of being very smart, is just very arrogant like Dio. So that's probably what would happen if Okuyasu was just smart and that's it. I wanted to use the villain idea, and instead of making making Okuyasu the main villain, because Okuyasu just doesn't have that main villain like personality. Rohan, on the other hand, is downright crazy, so making him the main villain, while weird and while Rohan's a fan favorite, I think making him the main villain would be a better choice than someone like Okuyasu, because he has more charisma, so I'd say he's a better main antagonist. And that's really it for the video. Save for maybe some cool Heaven's Door time manipulation ability, which would be pretty fun to see. The final arcs wouldn't really change a lot, save for fight-wise, like different fights would happen instead, like maybe someone else takes Rohan's place in like the Cheap Trick fight or something. Like the fight could probably go and focus around Jotaro or something. Shizuka would probably go with Jotaro instead, and maybe she can be in part 6, but I highly doubt it. So, that's it for the video. And, special thanks for Lost for requesting the kind of idea. Listen, I know I didn't do your idea, and I know it's gonna be kinda odd that I didn't do it, but like, I mean, if I'm being honest, I don't think much would change. If we were to just do a smart Okuyasu, what if it's just Okuyasu makes the part easier, or instead Okuyasu's like Dio, where he's very smart and very arrogant, and the part goes the same? And honestly, an Okuyasu smart video is just, oh, Okuyasu solos everyone. And that's just kind of it. And then the idea of Okuyasu being a villain seemed interesting. And then having Rohan write it, I thought making Rohan the main antagonist would be cooler, in my opinion. And I think him killing as a sort of fun thing, because he thinks it's fun, because it helps him with his writing, it would be a very unique thing to see if Araki could execute it well. I think he could. And personally, Rohan being a main antagonist could work. I mean, part 5 would change a lot because Koichi doesn't have that. Because he'd probably have to learn Italian on his own. So he'd probably just learn basic Italian instead. So yeah, that's probably it. Parts 5 and 6 don't really change. The only real change is that Koichi would have to learn Italian on his own, and we don't get that cheeky reference of Rohan at the end of part 6 because he dies because he gets crushed by an ambulance. So that's really it. Thanks for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and especially you lost, even though I didn't really do it the way you wanted me to. So I'll see you all next time. Bye.